Hi everybody, my name's Jeff Stinson. I'm the President of Global Human Resources Outsourcing. The reason we're here today is I wanted to talk about a situation that many of you are going to run into as you go out looking for new jobs. This is particularly true if you're going to go work for a larger company which has a human resources department. So what we're calling this today is 10 things that will kill the deal, how to get past the human resources department and on to the hiring manager, which is of course where you want to be in order to get a job. So the first issue that HR people are going to want to find out is, what are your reasons for leaving? Well, I call this the elephant in the room because many of you have been fired, some of you have been laid off, and just so you know, that's okay. All of us have been there at one time or another. I was fired myself. So the main thing to remember here is it's okay to be fired, number one. Number two, honesty is the best policy. Don't try some game or gimmick and try and describe what happened. Just be honest and keep it simple. We in HR, we get it, we've been there, so please just keep it simple. The second one is, how are you coming across in the interview? It is okay to be angry. When I was fired, I was really angry, and I'm sure you were as well. But remember, you don't want that to come across during the interview. And what I've given you here is an example of the grieving process, which really relates more to when somebody dies. But it's also true when you get fired. You start with denial. They could not have done that to me. You move on to anger. I'm angry about it. Finally, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Make sure you're through this before you start looking for a job, because if you're angry, that's going to come across. Number three, have the right mentality. Remember, your situation is temporary. You're going to get another job. One time you were the king or queen of this chessboard, and you will be there again, but remember, you have to go through the process, which includes getting past us folks in human resources. Next, how are you perceived? Sometimes you might come across as a little bit arrogant. I've done this, I've done that. Well, that's a problem, because while we recognize the fact that you have accomplishments, we all have accomplishments, you need to have the right attitude that says, I've accomplished something, without coming across as being arrogant. And then on the opposite side of that is kind of what I call the buddy-buddy tactic. And this is where you, in part of your sales technique to get the job, you want to be my best friend. And you want me to think that we've been best friends forever. Well, unfortunately, that makes the interviewer feel a little uncomfortable, and it kind of takes the interview off track, so you really don't want to do that. So be professional. And in this case, also follow the leader. In this case, the interviewer is the pilot and you're the co-pilot. And there is a motive to what we're doing. So I say a motive to our madness. Let us lead you, and in time you'll see that this makes sense. And last but not least, we in HR, we interview for what I call form and function. In other words, we're looking to see if you match our company's culture. We may not ask you a single technical question, and if we don't worry. That's okay, because if you don't match the company's culture, the rest of it doesn't really matter. So it's very important that you work with us. And finally, be respectful. We respect your expertise, so please return the favor. We know what we're doing. We have a reason for being there, and we're wanting you to be just as successful as you can be. And finally, one last thing. I know I've said finally too many times, but some questions to avoid when it's your turn. So we ask all the questions, we turn it over to you, and say, now what would you like to know? Don't ask about benefits. Don't ask about time off and sabbaticals. Be sensitive to the time that's allowed for you to do that. And ask questions about the company, about the culture, about who your supervisor or manager is going to be. Those are the things that will impress the HR folks, not wanting to know how many vacation days you're going to get. That's it. Any questions?